Welcome back, YouTube viewers, and I'll be showing you yet another controllers, really, two controllers that can be connected to this hacked multi-tap. And this is not a Super Nintendo controller at all, but yet another hack of sorts. And let me zoom out so I can show you this large device. And you can see the device right here. This is a pulled panel. I actually got this for free at a local arcade. Was throwing this away, so I took this large thing. And it's a pulled panel from probably one of those oversized Street Fighter 2 arcade cap machines. You can see here that it says punch, kick, and you see the words jab, strong, fierce, start, short. You see here there's a missing button, forward, roundhouse. No missing button here, but these are all the buttons. And these words are, I think, unique to Street Fighter 2. I don't think any of the fighting games at the time talked about jabs versus fierce punches, roundhouse kicks, and these stupid terms. I'd rather just call them medium, weak, and strong. Or different levels like 1, 2, 3 that have these complex terms to them, but whatever. They are arranged nicely enough to where that's what they mean. This is the weakest punches, these are the weakest kicks, these are the strong, these are the mediums, and these are the strongs. And they're colored and coordinated by that on both. And this is, I think, one of those machines where you'd see like a big screen to the front, much bigger than a regular arcade cabinet, and you'd have these larger controller unit. I really don't like it because it's just too big, but I got it free, and I had hacked it, made a little wooden bottom here. It's hard to see. I'm not gonna make the light better, but I built this wooden bottom on stand on the bottom, and I actually connected, I wired, because there's wires going to each of these buttons, 2 wires, a ground and a hot, and I wired all that to actually each one of these, this one and this one, each to a Super Nintendo controllers. I bought these really cheap Super Nintendo controllers, knockoff controllers, made in China. They're probably just junk, but I just wanted their circuit boards, and I connected these buttons to their circuit boards, and here's the result. Here are the ends coming out. These come out of the top of this device, and they allow me to connect. So I'm going to connect these 2 controllers. I'm not sure which one's first player, which one's second player, but I'll just connect them in either way. And this will allow me to use these 2 controllers on my computer. You may ask, why did I decide to hack a Super Nintendo controller when I could have hacked, say, a PlayStation controller, which is much more of a common kind of device, and I could just connect it through USB? Because at the time I wasn't using any USB adapter. I owned this device, my hacked device, and that's all I own. That's the only thing means that I connected controllers to my computer, so Super Nintendo was the way to go at that time for me in my life. You can easily hack these to PlayStation circuit boards or any other circuit board. I'd recommend PlayStation because it's ubiquitous, so you can just pick up one of those a lot of those USB adapters for cheap and expect it to work. In fact, that controller hack method works really to connect any controller, any digital controller anyhow, to a PC. Analog sticks may get more complex. I've never tried it or even looked at the schematic for it. I don't even know how analog controllers are wired to on the circuit board of a controller, so I'm not sure. But any digital controller that either it's either pushed or it's not kind of thing. There's only 2 values that each button can send out, on or off, 1 or 0 kind of thing. That's what they're called, digital. Although in reality, everything that really works with a computer is digital anyway. It's all translated to digital. So I'm not really sure if calling it. I don't even. Analog sticks really do seem like they do seem digital. They're just not. They just input more values than 1 and 0. At least I think that way anyhow. It's like people, when they talk about statistics, sometimes talk about statistics itself as if it were also a matter of statistics, yet it's not. It's a certain mathematical field, just like every other mathematical field. But I think there may be some bad use of language there. Anyhow, let me go to the control panel again. I'll go to game controllers, and I plug these into ports 1 and 2, well, ports numbered 2 and 3 on my device, 2 and 3, so those correspond with the first two pads here, which are pads 1 and 2. Let me move this over. Pads 1 and 2. Oh, let me move my camera up. Pads 1 and 2. Let's go to pad 1. And one of these is going to be pad 1. I'm not sure which one. Is it this one or is it this? It's this one. This corresponds with pad 1. Maybe a little awkward, but it's good enough. What I'm going to do is, because I cannot possibly, or practically, move this near the monitor so I can show you the up position pressed on the stick, and you see the up position on the axes. So I'm just going to hold up, and you have to trust me that I'm holding up. Believe me, up. So now we'll look on the screen and see up on the axes window. I'll push and hold down, or the stick in the down position. Next, left, and you're going to see left in the axes, and now right. Right. So you see all the directional capabilities work here. Now I'll hold this button here. It's called jab, and you see here it's corresponding to 6. Now I'll push strong, and you see it's corresponding to 5. Next, fierce, and you see it's corresponding with 7. Let me actually switch hands. Since this is a little awkward, this is awkward with the other hand. A short kick corresponds with 2. Now I think this button does not work. I think the forward kick button doesn't work, so you're not going to shouldn't see any button light up here. And no, you don't. I'm pushing it rapidly and nothing. I think that's because my soldering job, if I recall, was quite bad on those boards. So this button doesn't work. I'd have to resolder it, and I really don't feel like it because I really don't like this device. It's just too big, even though it's very cool. I want to get an X Arcade controller someday and get rid of this thing. Maybe I'll sell it on eBay or something. I don't know. It's just too big. I don't like it. And then the start button here. There's no select button. It would have been interesting to. I was thinking about drilling a hole and putting a select button on, but I never did. It's probably not really that useful. Jab. So now I'm on the. Oh, let me switch controllers. So that ends controller 1. Pad 1 on this device. Now we'll go to pad 2. Controller 2, I should say. And here, this is going to be controller 2. It should be with process of elimination. So I hold up, and you see nothing. Am I on controller 2? Hold on just a moment. Having a little trouble here. Sometimes this is the problem. I gotta wiggle that. That's the problem with making these yourself. You know, it's not as reliable, I don't think, as the USB device. But yeah, that's it. I just had to wiggle it there. Usually when you get it to work, it stays working. It doesn't fail in the middle of a game, thankfully. So, let me zoom out. I'll hold up. And you see up. Now I'll hold. I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to go through and show you, but down, down. Holding left. You see left, right. Right. Now I'm holding jab. You see button 6. Strong. It's button 5. Fierce. It's button 7. Short. It's button 2. And if you recall here, there is no forward. So the forward doesn't work here, although it's present, and it's not even present here. So if someone were to use, two people were to fight with each other, they would both be handicapped in the same way. That was not intentional on my part, but it just happened. I never bought I could actually buy. You could buy these buttons separately and just stick one in. I could buy a standard blue arcade button and stick it in, and solve that problem. But I really don't like this device enough. Because it's just like I said. This is just way too big. I'd like a stick I could set in my lap or something, or on a little little tiny table or something to play with. This is just too overwhelming. Even though it is very good, it's totally responsive. And you can see, I mean, I'll hit diagonals with it. Like, I mean, it's just great. I mean, this thing works beautifully. And it's actually nice, too, with the 2 sticks. I could even set something like this up. Well, I don't know if I could. It would be cool to actually have a 2-stick controller for something like Smash TV. That'd be very cool. Robotron. But it wouldn't be possible with the way I have this device. Actually, it would be, because I could input... Yes, I could. I could hook 2 controllers up and set it with via SNES or with a MAME emulator to work like that if I wanted to. Although playing 2 players would be hard. I would need 2 such devices like this. 2 such panels. It could work, though. It is possible. Anyway, let me go and next run the emulator. And I already have a Super Nintendo controller configured, so I'm not going to have to configure this, because this is just another Super Nintendo controller. This has been hacked to be a Super Nintendo controller. That means that this device, the way I hacked it, these can actually hook into a real Super Nintendo and work. So, not just for emulators. So if you like this idea, yes, you could do something like this for the actual Super Nintendo. Load Super Street Fighter 2. I don't have MAME set up on my computer at the moment. I probably should set it up. I love MAME, but just don't have it set up. I've been playing a lot of console games. Having a little problem with this controller again. I don't know why the 1 player is working. Let's go to versus battle here. A little awkward because I'm on the other side of the screen. I'm having problems with that second player again. Hold on just a moment. I'm going to set the camera down. I'm going to unplug the... Oh, I think I know why, because I don't have player 2 set up. So let's set it up really quickly. Input, yeah, I don't have it set, that's why. Never mind. Set keys. Press the up button for up. Oops. Screwed it up. Let's try it again. Up, down, left, right. Select, there is no select. I'll skip it with escape. The A button. I don't know, I guess it should be this. The B button, I guess we'll skip that. I think that's the broken one. And I don't know if any of that's correct, but that was incorrect. Alright. Yeah, now it's working just fine. Pick the Sagat. And let's try the fight. See, I'm jumping with him. I could do moves too, I mean. I have the buttons mapped wrong. And the buttons are all mapped wrong. But that's okay. I'm doing a fireball with one hand, hard to do. But very responsive. I mean, it plays great. Now let's try this controller. This is with Ken, the other character. This is actually the first player over here on the right. You see these buttons are nicely lined up. These are all the punches. I'll just tap them. There's the fierce punch. I'm having some problems hitting this button, probably because the soldering job is not good. Like I had said, this middle button is not working. This fierce doesn't always work. Not sure if it's the button, it's probably my soldering job. Now it's working fine, but it was a little hesitant before. Tried the soldering job, but I was throw him. Oh, pushed up. But it's very responsive, and this plays really nicely. I mean, this is a real stick. I love these sticks without the balls on the top. These nice graduated ones. I mean, they're just nice and clicky and very, very responsive. A lot of feedback. Here's the start button. I'm pausing the game. And I mean, just really nice. So you really tap it rapidly. Hard to do that combo with one hand. Let's try it. No, not too good. But I mean, this works, and it works very nicely, or pretty nicely. I mean, the soldering job wasn't that great, but so it is possible to do other cool things with your adapters, like hacking the boards on them, and hooking other buttons up to those boards that were never intended to be connected to them. Instead of Super Nintendo buttons, arcade buttons can be connected, and you can actually connect this to any controller board that allows all these different buttons on them. As long as you have enough buttons on your controller, you can hack it up. You couldn't hack all the stuff to an NES controller, but a Super Nintendo controller, PlayStation controller, obviously there'd be nothing to correspond to the analog controllers if you have a DualShock PlayStation 1 controller or a PlayStation 2 and up controller, but you can still hack the buttons that are on here, the existing buttons onto that controller, and doing something like that. I'm not going to take this thing apart and show you the job I did on the soldering and how I did that, but it's just a demonstration of how this works and how it works with an emulator. So thank you for watching my video. If you have any questions, please just leave them and I'll be happy to answer them, or comments. I hope these videos have been helpful to people interested with emulation, and namely trying to get that feeling of the actual real controller with the emulator, because playing honestly with a keyboard and mouse on an old console game is not fun. And even those first-person shooters, I don't like them on PCs because people want to use controllers and mice and keyboard, especially the keyboard. I mean, I understand the mouse a little bit, but the keyboard is just not a good controller to use. I don't want to play a game if I have to play with a keyboard. It's just disgusting and just not nice. I mean, I'm used to using a controller. I like a controller. Keyboard is good for typing, not good for playing games, unless those games are typing like Typing for the Dead or something like that. Anyhow, hope you've enjoyed my videos. Thank you. Goodbye.